Of all the movies we missed over the course of November, whether I was because I was sick or behind on work or I was just out of town, we missed some real big movies. We missed quite a few movies.
Yeah, we missed Rival,
We missed Arrival. We missed Doctor Strange.
Fantastic Beasts.
But the movie we did manage to catch before you know everything is said and done, Incarnate.
And thank God we didn't miss this one.
I wouldn't say thank God. I mean, all right. I'm gonna bury the lead here. It's not a bad movie. I mean, it's bad, but it's not bad. It's one of those movies where it's like, everything what you know what it's trying to do every step of the way, and it's not like it makes for a bad movie because of that, but it just kind of makes for a who gives a shit kind of movie. And I don't know. It's one of those. It's a situation where it's like it's only by the talent involved does the movie make itself at least a little memorable.
Well, my sarcasm aside,
Mm-hmm.
it really wasn't a bad movie. It wasn't a good movie. But it was a delightful movie. It was a surprisingly delightful movie for me. I don't know about you. I think you enjoyed it to some level.
I did.
It's one of those movies where I think that it was just like the right time for me to watch.
I think that's a fair assumption. It managed to wiggle in right before the gigantic end of the year blockbusters are going to
Yeah.
make bank at the end of the year. Hello, Rogue One. Uh,
Cash in on that Star Wars, that sweet Star Wars money.
but so I think it operates. It's at a good point as far as the release schedule is concerned. Just for the sake of like, well, what else is going to be in the theaters? So,
But with the track record we have for horror flicks, I was definitely expecting way worse.
am I right in thinking that this might be the best horror movie we've seen on Sage Versus?
Hell yes, I think it
Yeah,
is.
yeah, but I mean, low bar and everything, and I would argue that it's not really a horror movie. All right, the quickest way to describe Incarnate to you all is Inception if it tried to be Insidious.
Hold on. I can describe this just fine. I can describe this in a way that'll make it sound way better than it is.
All right.
Okay. So it's The Exorcist meets Inception with Professor Xavier as the lead character.
Like if Professor Xavier, if
Sorry,
Profe-
Xavier. I always like to say
yeah,
Xavier
yeah.
because
if Professor Xavier, if he were Wolverine, considering how frazzled
if he was the main.
yeah, like no, like no, if Professor Xavier followed the Wolverine
Oh,
path and just like
like
he's
just getting disheveled and
just
losing faith in humanity.
yeah, self-destruct. Yeah, that's where it kind of comes into play.
Yeah.
But that's not an unfair. That's not an unfair appraisal of the movie. It's pretty straightforward. I will give this. I will give this to the movie. It had no fat to trim. Absolutely no fat to trim. That was a lean, mean hour and a half. I don't think it was even an hour and a half. That was, you were in, you were out, done. And as far as movies today are concerned, I mean, the fact that it doesn't overstay its, short welcome is a plus. Um, I suppose that we should start with the plot. Aaron Eckhart plays a guy who can inception his way into other people's minds because apparently everyone's heads are like Wi-Fi signals, and he can literally hack into their dreams just by going unconscious.
And he has like this team of this tattooed up kind of slightly sleazy
Millennials. Let's just call them.
they're millennials, but this guy who's probably on cocaine most of the time. He's not working.
I wouldn't say like
I don't know.
He doesn't have enough character to even assume that he's on drugs.
There's really not enough character for that. And then he's got this, and then he's got this this really really freaking hot female assistant,
Female assistant.
who is like she's dressed up in a sexy hacker costume.
Like if Kari Byron from the Mythbusters was, cosplaying up as like Lilu from from The Fifth Element.
Well, not quite like. I mean, not maybe a little bit. Yeah,
Yeah,
like red hair
with the obviously dyed hair and that
Suspender.
orange suspenders, and
Yeah, but I mean, it's like
it's very much a it's very much a fetishized idea of a female geek.
yeah.
So yeah, it's not.
It is so fetished up, and I mean, it's sure fine. Why not?
Look,
It's not like they ever go into much detail with them anyway.
so might as well make her memorable in that instance, I suppose.
And she always has this unthinking look on her face, like
Her role in this story is purely perfunctory. In fact, I don't think she was even needed in the movie at all. It was just like, well, it felt like her and the other assistant have this back and forth banter where they like, can't we believe we work with this psycho? Woo! Nothing like that. It's all everything they all say is just purely just to advance the plot
they
forward.
are such window dressing. They are so, yeah. But that's fine. I mean, if you really think about it, was there really anything you wanted with them?
No, I mean, like if they had more to do, it would all just be fat anyway. And it's not like it's interesting fat to chew. It's just, I'd rather it not be there and not be there to just to basically pad the movie out than just be like there but awful. So in that case, less is more. Like there was this one weird scene where the male lackey was going on a date with somebody else, and then there's this weirdly awkward scene where like both of them are asking him, like both Aaron Eckhart and the female assistant are asking him, like, what happened to the other girl, and he's like, she wanted to go skydiving, so I broke up with her. It's like, okay, so they're setting it up that he's afraid of heights, and you're thinking, okay, he's going to get possessed, or there's going to be some kind of angle with the fear of heights, and
he does establish that he broke up there because he's afraid of heights.
Yeah.
Not just because he's shallow. I mean, it's not a shallow thing. If you have a phobia and somebody's into that, you just break up with them, man. You don't talk it out.
Oh, obviously not.
Yeah.
Obviously. But so there's this entire scene built around this. There's like not 2 minutes, but like it's like a good solid block of time spent talking about this guy's love life that you're thinking, okay, this has to come in play sometime. Chekhov's gun and everything. But it never does. It's just completely dropped, and then we never visited it again.
And there are plenty of Chekhov guns in this, but not in this case.
Yeah, like at the beginning of the movie where he's learning about the plot of the movie, when Aaron Eckhart learns about the plot of the movie, where a boy gets possessed by an archdemon. He keeps up articles of his tragic past because anyone who suffers tragedy wants to be constantly surrounded by reminders of the tragedy because that's how people work. He's got articles. He's got articles of like his car accident he was in that took his wife and his child, and articles about the drunk driver who was actually possessed by that same archdemon that possessed the child, and he's just and he all of a sudden he picks up a crucifix necklace, and I'm thinking that has to come into play, and lo and behold, it does come into play later in the movie, but you almost forget about it. There was so thin on that connection there, but I sense that you're needing to say something.
I'm just chewing at it. I'm just okay.
All right, I'm letting you off your leash. What?
So did you realize that entire having the mad conspiracy theorist papers all over the wall thing was actually completely useless because he literally has the Vatican coming to him reporting every time like there's a case because they need him so bad because their religion doesn't work. And this is where I really fell in love with the movie. And I was like, oh, this is great because I was like, in the end, he's going to find religion though, right? He's going to turn out that, oh, wow, I do need to let go and embrace God to defeat this great archdemon. But no. And that's another place where I just kind of couldn't help but love this movie. In
a weird way, now that you mention it, it actually is kind of fairly secularized. I mean, for a possession movie.
Yeah, there was really no massive leaning to any side.
I mean, like they kind of portrayed they portrayed the Vatican as one like kind of like a government or agency. Like they're just trying to pay Aaron Eckhart for his services
Yeah.
with a briefcase full of money, which
It's just they paint the church to be so kind of just awful and crooked in this way, and I'm not saying that they're wrong,
but the problem here is that like in the movie doesn't treat them as the bad guys, but they do kind of like bad guy tropes like here why don't we pay you for your legal services that we're really wanting you to do on the up and up, but here's some money under the table, wink.
yeah,
Like,
and they make special care to mention. I mean, and of course, this is delivered. The person representing the Vatican is this model.
oh yeah.
Like he has an assistant already that's a model, and then there's a model from the Vatican coming to give him this. And I'm like, yeah, sure, of course, it's a WWE film.
I was about to say this is WWE produced this, or at least was
Yeah,
one of the,
I mean, it would have been better if it was like Dana Brooke or something doing it, but
Yeah.
but you know what? It's fine. It's a WWE movie, so she does that, and then they even go further to have the guy be like, "Wow, she's really hot, man."
like the first scene that she's in is the male lackey looking down at her and saying, "Wow, she's hot."
Probably staring down her blouse or something because they're on a stairwell. That's how
Yeah.
But so that happens, and then they Aaron Eckhart mentions. Did we even mention that it was Aaron Eckhart in this movie yet?
Yeah, we did.
We did mention that. Okay, good. Just want to make sure because that's kind of like the most outstanding thing about the movie.
Yeah, like Eckhart, bless his soul. I mean, I don't mean that in any way to diminish what he did in this movie.
Carried the movie because he's the only real legitimate actor in this. Well, Felix was pretty good too.
Felix was pretty good. I like a lot of this movie is filled with character actors that I feel like I should know.
Yeah, Felix is one of them. Or he's kind of like a poor man's John Malkovich looking kind of look.
Yeah, everyone in this movie feels like they have been in like 30 different other movies made for television movies, or
and they probably deserve a lot of credit that they don't get. So,
yeah, like because even the kid in the movie was good.
Oh yeah, that kid was actually quite good.
Yeah, so
surprisingly good.
I mean, if there's one thing I cannot detract away from this movie is there is not one weak link in the movie. Even the annoying, they weren't even really annoying. They were just not even enough of a presence to be annoying. Even like the lackeys.
Yeah, they weren't annoying. They just weren't. They didn't have enough to be annoying. They just
but they did their part and they held their scenes together when they were asked to. And it's a very workmanlike approach to this movie, and I feel I almost want to commend this movie for being so lean and so like just being like, this is what we are. We're not gonna do anything too fancy one way or the other. We might throw you a curveball, but I don't think these are curveballs you haven't seen before. Good decision making. Yeah, there's a lot of good decision making in this movie. Well, I would say that there was good decision making by virtue of the fact that there wasn't a lot of decision making to be made.
Yeah.
In the grand scheme of things, but overall it was an okay. Overall, like there is not a real weak link in this cast.
Yeah.
Even the kid's deadbeat dad had his, even though his redemption was really, really fucking fast forwarded, and I thought that was going to be towards the end of the movie, but no, they just, it's actually a pretty good scene. Aaron Eckhart tries to exorcise the kid the first time around, and he's just tossed out, and he's just gone, like child's play. So he decides, okay, I'm going to whip out the big gun. So he literally drags his drunk dad from the bar into the room and have him talk to him. And there's actually like a legitimately touching scene where the drunk dad really comes, really breaks down and says like, I'm sorry I hurt you, son. I promise. And then
it's interesting you say touching because
yeah, I know. Like that character, the deadbeat dad's go-to line is always like, I never touched him. And oddly enough, you're not supposed to touch this kid. Otherwise,
exactly.
Yeah, otherwise.
It's funny because he broke his arm. It's like, yeah, I never touch him, and then Aaron Eckhart makes sure to let him know, do not touch him. And I'm like, oh, is there a parallel?
I think there was an attempt at a parallel, but I think that just kind of, it wasn't really there at all.
But the kid, when of course eventually they get so the archdemon Maggie, I don't know why they keep referring to the entity. They sometimes call it the entity,
Yeah,
but then they sometimes call it Maggie or her.
because as far as
Because the first one
he encountered, the one who killed his family was in the body of a woman named Maggie.
So I guess for him it became
Like it was sort of personal, like
yeah.
that was the name of the person whose body you inflicted. So that's what I'm going to know you as. I'm not going to like. I remember the entity said something along. I was known as Plague or Ash,
Yeah.
and
You know,
I'd keep it as Maggie.
I would have, chosen something like fuckface. You know?
So, well, if you want to keep your PG-13, I don't think you want.
Well, the thing is, it's kind of disrespectful to the actual Maggie, who never would have wanted anything to do with that.
You have a point. But the bitch is dead. Who like? Let's not mince our words here. That woman's long since been dead.
Well, in a movie that is, possibly, well, which at least touches on the idea of religion and afterlife or whatever, hell, heaven.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because they don't like ironclad admit that it's one way or the other. Aaron Eckhart believes that it's completely scientific. It's a parasite, that the demons are parasites that are incorporeal and basically possess and feed on the people that they inhabit. And it's another part why I love this movie is that the Vatican, the church has to go to him, basically pseudo-scientist, I guess you could call him, in order to get the job done. And they have this scene, I know I'm derailing a little, but they have this scene where the priest is coming out of the room, with this just disgruntled look on his face, having not been able to get the job done. And he looks at Aaron Eckhart like, you motherfucker. Fine. They don't send the hot chicks for me when they need me.
The movie treats Aaron Eckhart as in the right as far as how to deal with the possessions, because
they do.
Because demons possess another guy, and Aaron Eckhart managed to save him from possession, even though like, all right. Going back to that the father scene where there was that nice touching moment, and then all of a sudden, the kid snaps back to demon form and he just kills the father.
Oh yeah, and he breaks his arm too, like in Poetic Justice.
Poetic Justice kills him, and then in a hilarious turn of events, his body is literally body bagged out the door, and nobody, like, there's no cops or nothing. There's no like, the coroner comes.
Great scene.
Yeah, like the coroner comes in there and sees like the dead body and says like, "Oh, these are demons." Oh, obviously, this reality, demon possession is at once accepted but unaccepted.
I love how their team kind of expands whenever it kind of needs to get things out of the way. Like suddenly they have, corner, they have people to do this that won't ask questions. They have that kind of stuff. I mean, they have the money, sure, but it was just like, well, who else could they possibly have help with this if they have that kind of staff?
It's such a weird setting to really think about, because on one hand, demon possession is not at all public knowledge. Just based on the virtue of the fact that every time he goes up to a new person, he has to carefully explain what he does. So saying, okay, demon possession, not common knowledge in this world. And yet, everything about, like, every bit of collateral damage that happens in this movie, there is no, like, nothing happens. There's no cops. There's no nothing. It just feels like, wouldn't, like, I think there was like a throwaway line saying that the Vatican is giving people hush money to keep this all under wraps. And I'm thinking, if you could prove the existence of possessions and demons, wouldn't you want that to at least say, like, see, there's demons, which means there must be a god.
Yeah, man.
That's
a lot of money.
Yeah, but then I guess they want to keep it hush because they realize they can't do anything about it, and that.
That's a good point. You prove that it's a thing, and that your religion can't stop it. Oh shit. That's even worse.
Oh, in that way, it's actually kind of. I think what we're really missing from the story is like that adherence and that galvanization of the fact that the only thing that can stop these demons is science. not faith, but science.
Or what if it turned out even worse? I guess a conflicting religion,
Oh, good. It's very
like
Ghostbusters.
Mormonism, is the real way.
It's very much Ghostbusters in that
Yeah.
way. Actually, I want to make it a point to isolate the fact that even
Which
though
I enjoyed this movie more than the new Ghostbusters, by the way.
I think that kind of goes without saying.
just
You know, like you weren't clawing out your own eyes, so and
yeah. Well, I guess that, okay. Well, I feel like I have to say that because some people really did enjoy it.
I'm sure some did, but I think for the wrong reasons. But I want to isolate the fact that even though this movie treats religion as not the answer to these demons' problems, there is a moment where at the end of the movie, Aaron Eckhart, like I said, takes the crucifix and then shoves it down a demon's throat and it burns him. Now I'm thinking, that's not necessarily. I think that what the movie was trying to do was saying that it's not burning him because it's a cross, burning the demon because it's a cross, but rather because it was an important totem.
It's about personal belief.
It was more about this was the necklace that was around his wife's neck when she died.
Yes.
So there is a personalized totem, which goes back to our Inception.
And I kind of wish for that purpose that the necklace might have been something else.
Instead of a cross, which
Yeah.
you might, but I think it might be. You know what? I think there was meant to be something more deep to it than the movie managed to portray.
Yeah, you're
like the
right.
idea that the cross gives it its power, not because it's a holy symbol, but because it has personal meaning.
It's making a statement about religion in general in that way.
It's like the only real power this cross has is the personal meaning that you attach to it, which
yeah.
I think that's an idea that didn't really occur to me when I initially saw it, but now that I'm thinking about it, it does feel like the movie was attempting to make this statement about it, but then it was just either the movie failed to really capitalize on that idea, or it was actually shot, or there was more scenes with it shot, but then was just edited out to keep that hour and a half runtime.
You know, Practical Magic did the same thing, but they did it in a way that, as I said, that I thought was better, which was using the guy's police badge as the totem, as the object, the power object, as opposed to a cross or something like that you would normally use to defeat evil spirits. It was, and they make this whole point of, why did a police badge work? It's like, because you put belief in it. It means something to you. It's personal.
It's not like this is untrampled snow, but it is kind of weird to see this movie go into that territory.
This movie really took from a lot of different things.
Yeah.
When you actually dissect it, it's kind of awesome.
You can actually point to a lot of direct influences this movie had, and I guess it's one of those things where it's like, it's that saying in art, good art is steal, bad art is borrow.
Yeah.
And from that perspective, you could see that this is definitely a pastiche of a lot of good ideas made into not exactly a great whole, but a commendable whole, I suppose.
Yeah, it feels like if you had different people working on it, different areas, that this could have been turned into something. If it turned up to 11.
It's not. I don't think it needed to be turned up to 11. I think it needed to be, well, what's the word I'm looking for? It feels like I like it because it didn't overstay its welcome. But if what they added was substantial, like if it actually added to what we were talking about, I think that would have made the movie better.
Like maybe if it just wasn't WWE.
I wouldn't say that either.
Have you ever seen a good WWE film?
I believe Oculus. Oculus was WWE, I believe. Oculus was a good horror movie. It was about a haunted mirror.
Oh my God, is that the one with God, remind me. That's not the one with Kiefer Sutherland, is it?
No.
Okay. I don't know if I saw Oculus.
I'm right. Oculus was about a brother and sister who witnessed something,
bear with us here.
Witnessed a family tragedy, and they blame it on the mirror. The sister blames it on the mirror, and the brother doesn't want anything to do with it. But so they try to prove the fact that this mirror is more than what it seems, and then it starts warping with reality.
I'm gonna have to see this.
Yeah,
I may have seen it already. I just forgot, but I have to.
But it's
that's a WWE film. Wow.
I believe WWE helped produce it.
Wow.
So you know, like like there's a difference between WWE made movies like
Well, when we say WWE films, we mean that they had anything to do with it, really, or they backed it, provided, they funded it.
like some like the production house or whatnot. Because WWE knows who their audience is, and they know PG-13 horror movies are good with their audience. So they got into Oculus, they got into here, but then they make movies like The Marine or Marine 3.
Or what was it? 6 rounds
or like 3 floors or 2 floors, something like that.
No, it's just like 6 or 9 rounds, whatever fucking rounds. With they had Dean Ambrose and Randy Orton. Can't remember the last.
Either way,
the last one was Dean Ambrose. That's right. But yeah, 12 rounds of 9 rounds, 6 rounds.
Well, either way, we were actually kind of hoping that there was a secret part of us that wondered if WWE was going to have too much of a presence on this, and the only presence in the movie that it has is Mark Henry's in it. For like blink and you'll miss Mark Henry, but there was
you would have expected maybe Bray Wyatt or something.
Yeah, especially in a demonic possession movie, or like
they didn't do the spider crawl.
No, nothing like that. That would have been a little too. I'm glad they showed restraint in that. But my favorite part about that movie, my favorite part about this movie is something that only WWE fans would actually like. It is the fact that Aaron Eckhart just kicked Mark Henry's ass. World's strongest man, yes. Mark Henry, jobbed to Aaron Eckhart.
Aaron Eckhart, who actually the character was in a wheelchair, so
yeah.
I mean, he wasn't in his mind, which is where this happened.
Yeah, but
technically, Mark Henry jobbed to Aaron Eckhart in a wheelchair.
That just tickles me ever so much. It's. Good on you, Mark Henry. Good on you, Mark.
Yeah.
I mean, your role didn't exactly call for a lot as a nightclub bouncer, but
you put Aaron Eckhart over. He
You
couldn't have done that on his own. He needed you.
Exactly.
He needed Mark Henry.
Seeing thin little Aaron Eckhart punch out gigantic Mark Henry. 6.5 feet legit strongman Mark Henry. This man won gold in Pan American Games. He holds several strongman records. Punched out by Aaron Eckhart.
Just cold cocked him
right around the jaw. It was beautiful. But that's the thing about movies like this. There's not a lot to them, so there's not very many talking points to be had. In fact, really vocalizing my thoughts about this movie made me realize that I think I like it more than I actually really thought I did.
That's what I was saying, man.
It's like, I guess I went into this movie thinking that it was just going to be the pits because, December horror movie.
That's what I'm saying. When the credits started rolling, I was thinking about what I was going to say. I just went over in my head, okay, what am I going to say about this in the review? And I was like, oh my god, there's plenty. It's like, this is going to be an easy review.
Yeah.
I mean, but it's also going to be an enjoyable review. It's going to be, and that's when I realized, it's not a bad movie.
It's not a bad movie.
Like, I know exactly what I'm going to say about it. There's not a lot to say about it, but I know what I'm going to say about it.
I think I'll put it like this. It's perfect for cable. There's only one F-bomb, and there isn't really a lot of blood or anything like that. So, this is a perfect movie to just kind of put on, FX.
Whip up the TV dinner
and just saying, Incarnate's on. I haven't seen that in a while. I need to kill about 2 hours, sure. All right, and just pop
it's then it's like, got an extra half hour left.
There we go. Anything? Oh, one last thing I wanted to talk about before we close out. Felix, the teacher of Aaron Eckhart, who taught him how to do everything he does, his warehouse, man.
Oh, I'm so glad you remember that.
Yeah,
that's something I immediately, when I saw him, wanted to remember for this.
Yeah, so Aaron Eckhart arrives at Felix's warehouse to basically say that, how do we know that Maggie is the one possessing this kid? And Felix just shows him a demon he's been keeping.
Well, over here I got this other demon
that's possessing a body that he's just been keeping inside his cell, inside like this high-tech looking cell.
It's like a high-tech looking cell that's in like what looks like a storage unit.
Yeah, like I said, it's like a storage depot.
It's like a warehouse, I guess.
Like it's a warehouse.
But it's like a tiny warehouse. It honestly looks like a storage unit.
Yeah, like it's and he says, "Look, I've been and this guy told me that Maggie's inside that body," and you're realizing like, well, maybe this guy's not exactly on the up and up because he's literally taking control over a human being who is sick, and the camera pans over all these medical looking devices. And you're putting the picture in your head that he tortured him for information or something like that. But the movie never really brings it up again. And that whole scene was just to set up the fact that this doc conveniently created this serum that could, if you're possessed, if you take it, you're given like 10 seconds of clarity.
I know, he's going over like, yeah, I took some blood from the host and I put a little bit of parsnip in it and shook it around a little bit.
As like, I scienced up this serum.
Yeah, he really just scienced it up. And this guy, like, how does he know this stuff? What is his expertise? That he knows how to torture, he knows how to concoct potions, and he has hunting trophies all over his storage unit. You know what that really was a prop room.
Yeah, that was. Like,
they just took out the stuff that didn't really work for the scene.
But they kept in a lot of stuff that didn't really work for the scene.
I know, but they just like it was like this complete birdcage moment of add, don't subtract, or no, it was subtract, don't add. But they just kept stuff in there that looked like rich guy stuff, like tusks, giant tusks,
giant elephant tusks. I swear there was like a stuffed cheetah that. There was a card that was draped over in a hood. What in the fuck is this guy doing with all of this, like, big game hunter shit that's in this room?
And then he had what was that, like a Ming Dynasty statue or something?
No, like, they had a terracotta soldier in the background.
Oh, a terracotta soldier,
There was a terracotta soldier in the background, like, in the Qing Dynasty, like, tomb. In the Emperor's tomb, one of those terracotta soldiers in the background for no reason whatsoever.
Just conflicting with, like, this game stuff that... whatever, just rich guy stuff.
Well, I think the line was when Aaron Eckhart first arrived in that. There was like, so this is what
you're doing with them.
This is what you get with all the money the Vatican pays you. And I'm thinking, like, is this guy just sort of like this eclectic billionaire that we just don't know about, and he's just buying weird shit just to say he has all this weird shit?
How did this come to be? Because that cell would have had to be in there before he just came up with this idea. I'm pretty sure.
Or maybe he's just spent money to have that installed, I guess, by cell installers are us. I don't know, like who you hire to put in this high-tech security grid.
And he doesn't even seem to have a team. It's just him there. Again, like how do these guys work?
You know,
they have corners, like special paid-off corner ambulance drivers.
His warehouse / laboratory looks like if billionaires held a Goodwill.
Yeah, because it's so. This movie's great.
It's terrible, but like that was like the legit hokey, cheesy terribleness that I was hoping this movie was going to have, and I got it, and it was fun, and it was fun, and it was funny, but it just like the rest of this movie, it just came and it went. It didn't overstay its welcome. It didn't overtag the joke. Yeah. And that was good. that was good. So outside of that one instance, final thoughts. Do you recommend this movie?
Yeah, I recommend this movie. I do. I totally do. We almost had an empty theater for it, by the way.
But yeah, like for a midnight.
That's close.
For like a midnight showing.
And that would have made it even way better because then we could have just laughed our asses off.
We could have just ripped the fuck out of this movie.
Oh, that would have been great. But nope. Like just, 2 people, like 3 or 4 people.
No, a couple came in. And then one guy came in and left like 10 minutes into the movie and never came back.
Yeah.
And then another guy just kind of wandered into the movie, I think just a theater hop.
I don't think it was the same guy doing a loop and going back in the other side, so.
No. So, but I think if you know what you're getting yourself into, like it's
and how can you not?
Yeah, like if you know what you're getting yourself into, it's a good movie for what it is.
Yeah.
I I don't use this phrase a lot, but this is a good enough movie.
It's good
Where
enough.
where it like this, I could see many ways this movie could have been improved, but for what it is, it's good enough, which sometimes is good enough. So uh, next week I think is Christmas Office Christmas Party. I think
Ah,
I think
yes.
I think that is.
It might be a not horrible Christmas movie.
It might be a not horrible Christmas
Yeah.
comedy. Hopefully, we got ourselves a new Christmas classic on our hands. T.J. Miller's in it, and so at the very least, there's that. So
I mean, I haven't seen enough. I've only really have seen him from Deadpool and Hot Ones.
Deadpool, Hot Ones. He was also in Silicon Valley. He's also a voice in. He's also a voice in Gravity Falls. So, yeah, it's
That's cool.
yeah. So
I
like
didn't realize that.
yeah, like he's got to be like he's popping up all over the place. So yeah, that's gonna be good.
We hope.
We hope because comedies have the most deceptive trailers. They just do because
Yeah.
they have scenes. Yeah, comedies are built for trailers because they all have individual physical scenes that just
Yeah.
get that initial gut
Well,
reaction.
it's so
and hook.
easy to sell a trailer for a comedy with just that simple formula of, you know,
Yeah, just like
do 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 boop, and he's a boop boo.
yeah, it's a lot of like physical shtick that the movie does have. Just
And they did not know what they were in for.
now you're just doing a comedy trailer from the '90s. You're just doing one of those New Line Cinema trailers.
I know.
I feel like at any moment you're just all of a sudden All Stars Can't Get Enough of You Baby's going to start up any moment.
Get enough of you, baby.
See you next week.